Ready.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Tom Gilligan, CEO and founder of Marathon Tours and Travel, and also the founder of the Antarctica Marathon and Half Marathon back in 1995. With us today, I'm very pleased to welcome Ron Naveen, who's the president and founder of OceanIDS. OceanIDS is the only non-governmental scientific organization in the world that does research on Antarctica, on its habitat, on the wildlife, and on the impact of tourism. They have also been the official nonprofit organization for the Antarctica Marathon that we've been partnering with since 2009. And during that time, we've raised somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 based on a number of efforts in having live auctions, silent auctions, selling off the mile markers, which are a great commemorative piece for people to bring back with their names on them. So Ron, welcome. And I'd like to have you just introduce the mission of OceanIDS.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. I'm really happy to be here. Grateful for all the support you guys have sent our way. We are indeed the only nonprofit in the world with the science program. It's focused on Antarctica and penguins. And where the marathon is run happens to be one of the fastest warming places on Earth. So with the assistance of Antarctica Marathon Tours, all of your clients and all the marathoners over the years, we've been able to establish a database that everybody in the Antarctic treaty system uses. You can't figure out the climate change impacts in Antarctica without referring to the data that we collect, and you all help make that possible. Our Antarctic Site Inventory Project has been counting penguins since 1994. That involves about 2,100 different site visits to more than 258 locations across the vastly warmed Antarctic Peninsula. And what we're finding is really dramatic. The Gentoo penguins are booming in numbers, while two other species, Adelies and chinstraps, are not doing so well. We think it's a food issue, but it really does get into climate change because the increase in air temperature is 3 degrees centigrade and 5 degrees Fahrenheit in the peninsula over the last 6 decades. So what's happening to these penguins is a bit of a clue as to what might happen to us if the warming gets out of hand way to the north of Antarctica. And we wind up using penguins as an avatar to get more and more people interested in the climate change issue. Will we humans, like the penguins in the future, have enough food to eat? Will we have a good home, a healthy environment, and keep producing kids and grandkids? So the support we get from you all is much appreciated. It helps us spread the word about climate and makes more and more generations interested in this issue. And we're grateful for all the help you provide.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ron. As all of us know, we've been fed lots of misinformation about a variety of things, including climate change.
Right.
And yet, those who believe that science is believable, which I do, and I rely on hard data to
Correct.
help me understand what is happening and what is changing. Can you elaborate a little bit more on Antarctica as the parakeet in the coal mine, more or less, that when things happen in Antarctica, that's a warning signal to the rest of the planet. So can you elaborate a little bit more on the warming of the Antarctica and how it's been impacting the seas, et cetera?
Right. I mean, the complicated aspect here is that the warming in Antarctica and in the Arctic actually has to do with the way the Earth rotates. The warming is felt at the poles before it's felt anywhere else. And the difficulty in terms of managing the Arctic and the Antarctic is that the warming that we're experiencing in the polar regions isn't really generated by activities taking place in the Arctic or the Antarctic. It's the burning of fossil fuels across the planet in temperate latitudes. So what we're trying to do as best we can, because penguins are a really good indicator species. First of all, they're easy for us to count. We can see them, we can see their nests, we count their nests and chicks every year, but they have to go to feed in the ocean. They predominantly eat krill and fish, krill being the little crustacean shrimp-like animal that fuels the Antarctic ecosystem. The power lunch of the Antarctic, I like to call it. The whales like it, the seals like it, and the penguins like it. So any perturbations or changes in the penguin population is a suggestion to us that something's going on, something is out of whack. And as I mentioned just a second ago, the changes in the penguin population in the vastly warm peninsula are leading us to try to understand better what's happening. Has the food chain been disrupted? Are they not finding enough good rocks to build their nests and their homes each year? Is there a disease in the environment? Are they still producing the chicks that they used to produce? It's a warning signal for us. What's happening to the penguins. I mean, let's face it, we are biological creatures just like the penguins. So what might be happening to them now and what we're trying to understand better may be what's going to happen to us in the future. Um, I mean, the COVID pandemic actually is another wake up call. We're going to get vaccines distributed and we're going to solve the COVID virus problem. But there's no vaccine for climate change without all of us reorienting our thinking about what to do next. And what you said just a second ago reminds, I get asked, I do encounter people who are pretty vigorous climate change deniers. And they keep talking about, well, why do you believe this and why do you believe that? And the way I approach it is just like you just articulated, that we look to science and we look to facts. I do believe in certain things. Like, for example, I still believe in the tooth fairy because, God, when I was a kid and the teeth fell out, magically a quarter would appear on my night table. And my parents made me think, wow, I should believe in the tooth fairy. I don't just believe in climate change. I know it's happening. It's a fact. We have proven that it's happened. I'm only one of many who have worked on this issue. The question now is getting more and more people engaged, talking about it, whether we're going to be able as humans to adapt like Gentoo penguins. It could be leading some of us to take political action. It could be just leading some of us to talk to our friends who are climate deniers. But hopefully by getting interested in penguins and the Antarctic and how climate is changing in the Antarctic, we can spread awareness about how the planet is changing. We've got time to solve this problem. One of the things that's pretty clear to me when you work in a place like Antarctica, as I have for 39 years and 6 years of my life, you realize that things don't change overnight. And the climate problem can be dealt with. It's going to take decades and we need to start now to work on it. I mean, just simply last week, General Motors announcing that they're going to become all electric in 15 years. That's amazing. That's indication of progress to me. So let's be hopeful that we can deal with the climate change problem and hopefully those penguins can help us lead the way forward.
Well, I think there's a bit of optimism within our country now that we have a new administration that one of the first things that the new administration did was rejoin the Paris Accord.
Right.
So that's hopeful. They also rejoined WHO. So they believe in science, and hopefully they will support it with funding.
Yep.
Because for an organization like you are 100% dependent upon individual fundraising efforts. I know that the National Science Foundation has cut back on your funding during the Obama administration. The British Antarctic Survey likewise was a large donor. They cut back all of their funding. So as a result, you have to look towards the public,
Right, absolutely.
the private sector to contribute to your cause. And what we find with our runners who travel to Antarctica, uh, because of the lectures and because of the films, they walk away learning so much about the planet and certainly become better custodians and also Pied Pipers of what they've learned to hopefully inspire other people to at least educate themselves a little bit more on the climate and not be listening to um, the news media all the time, because it's not always the most reliable source of information. And occasionally it's a source of misinformation. So
Absolutely correct.
organizations like OceanIDS and others are so important to to educating the layperson. Uh, Ron, I know that you have a film out called The Penguin Counters. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Penguin Counters is an award-winning documentary. It was done about 4 years ago. If you happen to be an Amazon Prime member, it's now available free for streaming on Amazon's video platform. Otherwise, freely available, or maybe it will cost you to get it from iTunes, but it is out there. The Penguin Counters documents our expedition way back when to count chinstrap penguins at a remote location called Bailey Head and at Deception Island. And from that expedition, we wrote the paper that showed how chinstrap penguins had declined dramatically in the Antarctic Peninsula. But it's a beautifully photographed documentary. It actually involves us taking a long trip to the Falkland Islands of South Georgia and finally getting to the Antarctic, where we struggled to get the chinstrap penguin numbers that we needed to get to prove what we ultimately wanted to prove and show. So it's well worth watching. It's a lot of fun. You get to live with us on board a small yacht as we go out to count our penguins. And I encourage you all to do that. And also it's possible, and we can get links up for this too. I've also had the good fortune of taking crews from both NBC and the PBS NewsHour south to the peninsula. And those interviews are available online, and we can make sure that everyone connected with the races gets a chance to see them as well.
Well, I know that our clients, the runners and their supporters, looking forward to the trip in 2022.
Great.
Unfortunately, 2020 and 2021 understandably had to be canceled. So the demand to run the Antarctica Marathon and half marathon is extremely high. And unfortunately, there's about a 3-year wait to get on that trip now. But we do have quite a few excited runners who have been planning the trip for many, many years. And hopefully we can fulfill those dreams in March of 2022 when we have our next trip. And Ron, we will continue to support OceanIDS in any way that we can to help you keep up the good work. So I look forward to working with you for the next 20 years.
Likewise.
God willing, we'll be around. And let's hope that the tide will turn and we will see carbon emissions decrease. And there'll be many other efforts to help protect the environment, especially the lovable penguins.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate the company's support, the runners' support. And again, you're absolutely right. We want to get more and more people being climate ambassadors or penguin ambassadors and marathon ambassadors. We're all in this together, and I'm really thrilled to be in it with you guys. So thanks so much for your help and support. Looking forward to working with you in the future.
Great. It's always a pleasure speaking to you, Ron. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.